Lou Reed is one of the most fearless, uncompromising, yet difficult to please musicians in all of history. And this pattern was no enigma. If Reed liked someone or an artist, he would likely sing their praises to anyone within earshot and more often than not get along with them. But if he didn't like their art or wasn't fond of them as a person, then they better have hoped he didn't have an interview coming, because he would likely make that very public.
Are you happier as a brunette?
Are you happier as a schmuck?
I'm no schmuck.
I'm no brunette.
And so these 5 artists were the unfortunate few on the bad end of a Reed review, making them his most loathed artist of all time. At number 1, it's Frank Zappa. Reed was often shown to project palpable fury towards that avant-garde composer when he wrote his magazine features in the 1970s. He's probably the single most untalented person I've heard in my life, Reed said, and Reed rarely slowed down when complaining about this unique musician. He's a 2-bit pretentious academic and he can't play his way out of anything, he added. He can't play rock and roll because he's a loser, and that's why he dresses up funny. He's not happy with himself, and I think he's right. At number 2 is The Doors. Where hippies on the west coast of America were singing about peace and love in the 1960s, Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground were more concerned with the rainier and grittier reality of New York City. And so naturally, Reed did not take too kindly to his rivals on the other coast of America. We've had vast objections to the whole San Francisco scene. It's just tedious, a lie, and untalented, Reed said in one of his 1970s magazine features. They can't play and they certainly can't write. But then when Reed was asked about his rock and roll rivals of the 1960s, he then angled his animosity of the West Coast towards the Doors. He said they were just painfully stupid and pretentious, and when they tried to get arty, it was worse than stupid rock and roll. He then asserted, what I mean by stupid is the Doors. At number 3, rather unsurprisingly or surprisingly, is the Beatles. After spending a few minutes in an interview slating all of his 1960s musical rivals, Reed was then asked about the Beatles.
I never liked the Beatles. I never really liked any British group. I don't think the British should play rock and roll.
What do you think? What do you think they should play?
I don't think they should play anything.
However, though it does appear that Lou Reed's opinion on the Beatles did change at some point throughout his career, perhaps when he gave that first quote he was fed up of the eclipsing durability of the Beatles, which clearly changed at some point because he said, they just make songs up, bing bing bing, they have to be the most incredible songwriters ever, just amazingly talented. I don't think people realise just how sad it is that the Beatles broke up. Another band Lou Reed hated is The Who. In the 1960s, Lou Reed thought that no one was as good as the Velvet Underground, and he wanted to ensure that everyone was aware of that. And so in doing so, The Who were a band who took the hefty hit of Lou Reed's wrath. He then focused that criticism further on the band's main songwriter, Pete Townshend, who was the mastermind behind their more expansive, but for Lou Reed, unpalatable ideas. Reed took aim at The Who's highly revered 1969 concept album, Tommy. Tommy is such... Jesus, how do people get sucked into that? Reed vented. So talentless, and as a lyricist, Townshend is so profoundly untalented. And philosophically boring to say the least. Like the record The Searcher, actually meaning The Seeker, I asked Timothy Leary, I wouldn't ask Timothy Leary the time of day for crying out loud. And the last band to join Lou Reed's list of most hated is Roxy Music. After Lou Reed quit the Velvet Underground in 1970, he began to spend more time in the UK. With the help of David Bowie and his own solo record Transformer, he moved away from art rock into a more glam rock orientated sound, such was the fashion at that time. And so this new musical style tightly meshing with his UK contemporaries such as Roxy Music, one would expect high praise from Reed. Such an expectation, however, would be completely wrong. In one of his mid-1970s magazine features, Lou Reed simply said, I don't like them. Perhaps this was a jealousy thing, given how Roxy Music had neatly nestled themselves next to Lou Reed's new creative counterpart, David Bowie. But given the mutual friend that they both shared, for some reason Lou Reed just did not get on with Brian Ferry's band. I saw them at the Bowie concert and we were all there waiting to be impressed, he continued. They bored me, and I went out halfway to get a drink. I heard some of the other stuff that's supposed to be up my alley, but they don't know what they're talking about. I've been doing this stuff a long time and all of a sudden people are starting to talk about it. They're saying, hey look, we're civilized man and we want to know about it.